Wheels turning, and we are live now.
Boom. We were talking kilts just a little bit ago.
We were talking later. Kilts and the proper fitting size.
Yes.
I cannot. Well, I can wear your kilt. You cannot wear mine. Stuff would.
It would be illegal.
Not be good. It would be illegal.
Be a mini skirt kilt. Well, a mini kilt. That'd be terrible. Goodness gracious. So what do we got going on, Bruno? And who's our guest?
All right. We're going to take a look today. Well, let's go in. First of all, let's introduce Jason Whiskey Wise is with us today, all the way from across the pond. Go ahead, Jason, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit real quick about what you're doing.
So, hey guys, I'm Jason from Whiskey Wise, and I like to do, I'm doing lots of whiskey reviews at the minute. I'm working my way through many, as I've been at the minute mainly focusing on travel retail whiskeys as I work in that sort of industry. And now I'm sort of working my way through world whiskeys. So I'm going through some Japanese and Indian and just getting back to Scotland. And then we're going to do a lot of more Scotch whiskeys. So that's pretty much what I'm doing at the minute. It's quite a fun experience as well, because over the last year, I've tasted close to 400 whiskeys. And it's an experience, believe me, some days are very memorable compared to others.
Yes, that is wonderful. And what are we going to do, Scott?
Well, we've got the Glenfarclas. We're going to take a look at Glenfarclas 12.
Yes, which is
right there. Glenfarclas 105.
Ooh, the 105.
And what are we going to do?
We're going to test it.
Test it.
Test it we shall. All right, we are in. Now, first of all, I want to say I'm not wearing a hat, and I got that North Korean light bulb. I believe that's the reason there's reflection up here. It's the North Korean 25-watt bulb. I'm saying that's probably putting us on a watch list somewhere. Somewhere we're on like a government watch list for buying light bulbs from North Korea. So I'm sure we're being monitored for all my North Korean comments that are coming out. It's like a hot button topic. Now, we already got, there must be commenting going on. Scott's typing away furiously here.
And I kind of made a mental decision today. I was going to try to pay a little bit closer attention to him. So
mental decision.
You might have to hit me to wake me up or to get me to tune in.
Well, usually I'm quiet and I don't have much to say.
Yes.
Beyond, I did go with, by the way, I am sporting. We got a red one with the Glencairn. Look at that.
Nice, nice. And a baseball shirt.
I'm actually digging that. I'm digging the white on black coloring that's going on there. That surprised me. Immediately I had like why didn't I buy that? Because I've got the all black one.
Let's go. We'll go in. Let's go through the 12 and the 105.
Yes.
We'll take a little break. We'll talk about our website redesign that's coming up.
That's a neat one.
We'll throw that one in there a little bit.
Help from Scotland.
That's right.
Help from Glasgow.
And if we have time when we get done with the Glenfarclas, Jason has several of the Cavalons. We only had one in hand. I've got some of the Vino Barrique left behind. We might have to finish that one off and talk Cavalon a little bit with Jason. And
I've got a lot of travel retail questions.
Okay.
Oh, brilliant.
We'll get into some of those because I hear a lot, but then I feel like I don't understand the business model and when I can buy and when I can't. I do know they get limited bottling, so we'll get into all that later because I've got a lot of questions for you on that.
Let's do that.
I say a lot, but I think I'm almost ignorant when it comes to it, so it'll be just listening to you. But so what do you want to do? Do you want to, Scott, you want to talk about the Glenfarclas 12?
Yeah, let's start with the 12, and let me preface a little bit, 43%, but this one did make my top 5 12-year-old scotches.
Wow.
So a little bit of a sherry influence, not a sherry bomb, kind of a double casking with it.
Right. That's great. And this has been open for a while. We talked, our review of this was maybe 2 years ago or ish.
At least 1.5 years to 2 years ago.
And you're down. We're almost at, I don't know if it shows up with the Korean bulb. Probably not. But we're at like almost heel slayer property there. But it's still very, very flavorful. And I hadn't had this since our review. And I was like, wow. This needs to be on my shelf. And I dig the way you pronounce it. You go into an Irish thing.
It's a Glenfarclas.
Yeah, it's very Irish, I think. I don't know. Maybe that's Kansan.
I'm struggling with my little miniature. This one, it was just so difficult to open.
Well, there you go.
Get it done.
Nice.
And I'm getting it again. I didn't even start. I just went ahead and took a little sip. I hadn't yet. But right away, just those sherry notes, nice citrusy sweetness with it.
What do you have on the nose?
I did just see this at our store though, and this is one of the higher priced 12s at $55 to $59 a bottle.
That's not bad at all. I mean, It's got a burst of flavor. What do you have on the nose, Jason?
Quite a rich sherry influence. I'm getting quite a little bit of ABV. It's 43. A little bit of soft stew fruits in that one. Hint of spice.
I agree there, 100%.
Probably I would say a little bit of nutmeg, cardamom, and maybe a little bit of sweet sultanas there.
I've got to
say that again.
The sultanas.
Say that again.
Sweet sultanas.
Yeah,
I love that. I know that sounds. It sounds succulent.
Yeah.
Sweet sultanas. Now cardamom. That I don't. I need to familiarize myself with cardamom because that.
Yeah. I was gonna say with the Indian cooking, you're gonna get a lot of spices that you literally go and do. So it's one of those things. I think more, and also I'm getting like a little bit of a light tea presence, like black tea. Sort of quite there on the sort of end of the nose.
It's delicious. I love when you said stewed fruits. 100% juicy and sweet. I love it. Have you tasted yet?
Not yet. I'll wait for the taste.
All right, he's waiting. Do you have anything you want to add on your nose there?
Nose again, just sweet, succulent sultana.
I know that's perfect because that is a very, very good descriptor.
And I'm kind of surprised that I still have this bottle
Me
left.
too. Yeah.
So
and I'm surprised I don't have one on my shelf. Now, this needs to happen. Or you can lend me your 105 again. Because we have yet to do. We haven't done the single review.
We have not done the standalone review yet.
He has left the 105 at my house for what, 9 months?
No, it hasn't been that long.
Oh, well, it's been long enough.
Just, at Christmas time, I had a sample of it, and I said I got to go get a bottle. So I went and bought. It was probably in January. I bought the bottle, but
we'll get to that in a bit. But needless to say, he's left it at my house for a future review, and I keep forgetting what the 105 tastes like, which means I have to dip back in.
Double dipping.
That's right.
And the One Glass Man is joining us with 17-year-old Farkless. He notes. George Kaplan has no Glenfarclas experience,
really?
So he's looking forward to this. Triple Cap loves Farkless, but they add too much water, he says. At 43%, that's where I like to see the base, 43 to 46%.
Yeah, I prefer 46, but 43 is good.
Neat, though. This is really delicious.
It is.
It doesn't feel 40%.
Let me put a little water. No, it doesn't feel watered down at all. I mean, it's light. It's got a lemony refreshingness to it. Beautiful finish. Almost like an effervescence. Just a not a minty flavor, but almost that cool mint feeling in my mouth as I'm breathing in afterward. I mean, it's very refreshing.
It's like a menthol.
Yes.
Jason, what do you know about the Glenfarclas Distillery?
So it's still one of the very few family-run distilleries that there is out there. I think at the minute it's fifth and sixth generation that are looking after it, that are running the Glenfarclas Distillery. They use a lot of sherry cask at the distillery, and the 105 is literally the one that I tried, which sort of set me on that path for sherry bomb whiskeys. And I kind of killed my bottle. So I misplaced, there it is. So now I've got like literally a miniature set, which I'll be sort of going through. I've got the 15, which is sort of like an everyday whiskey for me.
Really? Beautiful.
But yeah, I want to try out the 21, 25 at some point as well. And then I've seen the family cask range, which are for every year. And those look phenomenal, but it's about getting my hands on my birth year. Ooh. Which will be, it can be a little bit tricky here in London because some whiskey shops will put quite a steep price on them.
Now, just so we know, do you want to put out your birth year, or is that no?
I don't mind. I probably could be one of the youngest people doing the whiskey stuff right now. It's 92.
There you go. Wonderful.
Oh, wow.
That's wonderful. What?
Now,
you're 90. You are 90.
A bottle, I'm just going to say, a bottle our age is going to cost us quite a bit.
Yeah. 70. Boom. They'd be like, wow, $4,000. That's what you're paying. I'd be like, oh, boy.
A lot of comments, a lot of stuff coming in about the Glenfarclas people with the different ages, different Whiskey Throttle had asked if anybody had tried or had the family cask, which you just touched on. So, and I don't know if we've seen those in the States. Are they available in the States?
I think they are, but very few shops will have them. Here in London, there is one shop which has it, which is the Whiskey Exchange. They're the only place that has it. And best place to buy it is, if you can, go direct to Glenfarclas, because they have all of them. If you go to some shops, they'll only have specific years. And I think 1986, which is one of my friend's birth year, that's impossible to find because it's so expensive. That year, not many companies produced whiskey. So the price of that one was like just keep going up and up and up.
Wow.
And well, and Whiskey Throttle notes now that he has a 1968 family cask.
Wow.
Goodness, what did that run him?
I don't know.
Did he buy it in like maybe 1972?
Just tell us if it was more than $200.
We're going to say yes. Now we cut you off, Jason. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, does anyone have like a specific favorite? Because I know in the States, I don't think you get the full selection. I think the 17 and 18 were travel retail. But back then I didn't work in travel retail. I'm still quite new to it. So I'm trying to look for the 17, 18 so I can even add those in a sort of like a review of the whole Glenfarclas range.
Now, we have not had the 15, and I know a couple of reviewers just did. Well, Swami did one, and I think Mark's Whiskey Whistle.
So we got Canada and Korea.
They had some sour notes to the Glenfarclas 15.
That's what they said?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we haven't had it, and I don't know.
Well, that's Jason. That's your daily sipper?
Yep. So that one, I have to somehow get it out from there.
You're okay.
Without, knocking it all off the edge.
Sure.
But yeah, that one, it's quite rich on the palate, and then it becomes, after some time, you'll get some more of those fruity notes playing themselves on. I feel it's a little bit more mellow than the 12. And that one, it's also very good value here. It's around about 45 pounds. So that's around about $60, $65 maybe tops.
Right.
Whiskey Throttle doesn't indicate, but he says now that bottle is around $5,800
Oh,
Canadian.
Lordy. So he got it earlier.
Yes, must have.
Right.
Maybe last week.
Now, one thing Scott will try to do, we're hoping YouTube changes or their Hangouts at some point where the comments will save over. They currently don't. So if he doesn't bring up certain comments and kind of preserve them in the video, they're gone. And that's one reason I know you're trying to follow a little bit quicker to get some of those in, because they all wipe away once it rolls over into video.
Well, and you can. There is a program out there. It's a different system, though, and it takes embedding some code and stuff
we
that I
are
don't
dummies.
know about. Yeah.
Dummies.
So
anytime you're going to embed some code, baby, I want to watch it.
I do like the Scotch for Dummies in their live streams. What they do have that going, but they're using, I think it's OBS live streaming or something, and it takes some workaround. We need to look into it.
Well, there's four of them.
I was going to say, one thing I used to do is when I used to live stream gaming, we used to have like a little sidebar over here, and I used to run through all the comments. But the only problem, I think that was on a different website. I think it was a gaming site.
Right.
But you could have all your little comment section here. And if you had to edit that in, it would be a little bit more of a nightmare than you could imagine.
Got it. Now, what kind of gaming you're talking online video gaming?
Yeah, so Call of Duty, FIFA, Pokemon Go, which was the most hilarious one. Running around the city, catching Pokemon, which is hilarious. And then FIFA, which it's football over here. You guys in the States call it soccer.
Sure.
There's the long-term debate on football versus soccer.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. And my boy loves everything Pokemon. So you got Pokemon Go early. So he couldn't believe it. I work fairly close to a college campus. And when he visited once, he saw all the Pokestops over there. And he was like, oh, my God. So we went over there in the summer. And I was using it as a little tool, too, because there were still some kids staying on campus, college kids. He's only 10. But I was telling him, I go, look, these kids hang out. They're playing Pokemon Go. They're going to school. And he's like, man, college looks fun. I'm like, yes, college is fun. So give him a little bit of that idea but he couldn't believe all the Pokestops and everything. So, yeah, Pokemon Go is great. Although I always say Pokemon's the right way. I always say, like, Pokemon, and he gets, you'd think I cursed or something. He's like, oh, my God.
It gets so
Pokemon.
bugged.
Mm-hmm. See,
Yeah,
how did we get into Pokemon during a whiskey tasting?
I know, at least
I'll
one-
get admonished later. He'd be like, blah, blah, blah.
It's the Glenfarclas. It does that to you.
That's right. The sweetness of the Farclas brings around.
I was getting almost like a raspberry cheesecake.
Mm.
I was just getting that. I was getting the raspberries.
I love that. I agree 100%. You're
Nice
right.
kind of creamy, cheesecakey, velvety, fruity blast.
Love all those words coming out of your mouth. Velvety, you're right. Velvety. You're right. It's a raspberry kind of finish. Huh.
It's interesting how that develops from the beginning, that rich sherry note, and then into those red berries.
Now, I don't think I misspoke in that this is not aged 12 years in a sherry cask. I believe this is a kind of a double casking, is it not?
I think so. I think they use a combination of casks. This miniature is very useful. I've got a book over here. I think they do use a combination of casks, but I don't want to read a book right now.
Yeah.
Understood. So before we go to the 105, fill me in on a little bit of the travel retail. I know a couple things.
Yeah.
I know they'll get very unique bottles, expressions that are only for travel retail. I know that's huge. But where I get kind of even confused a little bit, does one have to be traveling internationally in order to pick up some of these bottles? And
Yes.
Scott's saying yes.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
So, for example, here at Heathrow, London Heathrow, and all London airports, they do the travel retail stuff. Some will be on for domestic flights, which, domestic flights can buy. But there are the other ones which are just for all travel. Now, with the single malt whiskey, all of them are primarily on the all travel list. So you can buy it if you're going anywhere in the world. And some companies actually even recommend to have their stuff for all travelers, which I think is more beneficial. As at the end of the day, if you're flying somewhere, you deserve to buy exactly, anything you want.
Perfect.
I feel there shouldn't be a major restriction on you. But then it's down to selection as well. And we've got one of the biggest selections there are. Crazy selection, actually. I was just telling Scott that I've got the new Lafroig 4 Oak. And I know you're a big fan of the peaty whiskies. So actually, I'm going to see if I can send out samples of the 4 Oak. And then when I fly back to Edinburgh in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to pick up the Legacy, which is to celebrate the 200 years of all the malt masters at Lafroig. So I'll see if I can pick up those two and send those out to you as samples.
Beautiful.
Those are nice peaty whiskies. And something I think a little bit interesting because some companies discontinue the range and then they want to refresh it every year. And then you have people coming back after that year. Oh, do you have that bottle? And it's like, sorry, we sold that out. It's no longer produced. And they just take time to get into the new stuff.
Now, how quickly you just mentioned there that things sell out and they're gone. So how quickly are those bottles or those expressions revolving through travel retail? I mean, do you see this constantly just because of the volume you're handling, or do you have some, what's it like in there? What's your, how many bottles of something will you even get?
Okay, so I'll answer that one in two sections. You get some which are limited edition, which will be a specific number of bottles or a small quantity. And then you have some which are purely just travel retail. And these are mainly going to be non-age dated whiskies. Travel retail nowadays, you're looking at almost everything is non-age dated, as they want to just get it as quickly out as possible. Okay. So in terms of the limited edition, recently they had the release of the Highland Park single cask Heathrow edition. And if anyone is Highland Park fans in the actual stream, you'll actually know that was going mad on social media. They sold out within a week. And there was 588 bottles of a single cask refill Oloroso sherry butt. And they were actually meant to have this for at least, maybe a month. But within a week, it sold out. Literally, people were rerouting their flights just to go to a certain terminal to buy these bottles. And that was kind of crazy. You'd have people coming in, I just want to book a flight just through this terminal just to buy a bottle. So limited edition ones in terms of numbers, they can fly off the shelves really quickly. And then before you know it, you can actually see them on the secondary market. So people will try to sell them. Yeah. Now, in terms of the core travel retail bottles, the non-aged dateds, and some, like for example the Lafroig, as I used it before, you'll see that they'll keep them for at least a year or 2 years, and then to innovate, they'll change the line. So before, some companies, they'll have like 3 core travel retail ones, and then they'll literally just switch it up. So I know recently in your last review was with the Lafroig Law. So
yes, just
that was yeah, that's one just over there. I can see it, and that was one I haven't tried yet. So I'm going to be looking forward to doing that, and the Ardbeg series.
Now, if I pop in, if I flew through Heathrow, how much stock do you have right there in that little shop in the airport? How big?
That's actually it depends on the brand, because if a brand sends you a lot of stuff, then you'll have a lot of things. At the same time, it's down to how much they get stock in from the warehouses. So, but we mainly keep at least 3 cases of every single bottle. It just depends. For example, if something's a high value, you get not so much. You maybe get, if it's like a very like 300, 400 pound plus bottle, you might be getting around about 4, 5, or even 6. That's it per day.
And then
because some of those sell out fast, and then like with Yamazaki, we had the 18.
You got 4. You'll sell 4 or 5 or 6 a day.
Yeah, you can actually do some even some 7,000 pound bottles. You'll see those go in a day.
Wow.
And
now, is there a limit on how much you can buy when you're in there? I know it's carry on unless you're landing and getting off and going into town. How is that? I mean, is there a limit?
So in terms of the limit, you've got different countries have your allowances. Like the United States is 1 US quart, so you're allowed 1 liter. But if you buy more, we just always advise, declare it to customs, because you don't want to be trying to sneak something through customs. They catch you, and you go through a kind of a frisk search on the other side. It would not be very nice and pleasant.
Mark likes frisk.
Yeah,
searches.
you bet. I'd be like, I ain't declaring nothing.
Search me again.
That's right. Send me through again. I want to do the scanner, the
Make
full
sure you
body scanner.
Check that crotch area real
Yes,
good.
that is not a bottle in my pants. Wow. We just didn't even
morning search.
go there.
So yeah, in terms of how many can you buy? For example, many companies, they don't put a limit on us. So with Highland Park, their new release, that was limited to 2 bottles per person. You couldn't buy any more. If you did buy any more, we'd actually, if you did take more off the shelf, we'd have to deny and only say 2 maximum, just to make sure other people could get the bottle themselves. But then you've also got some companies, like, when you've got the non-aged dated in your travel retail ones, some people take 10, 20, mainly the flights out to Asia. I've seen one flight take 50, but one guy took 50 bottles.
Wow.
And that was for his company. So it was a very interesting evening.
Wow, I want to work for that gentleman. Or have him work for me. Bring him in. Now, all right, let's say we'll go hypothetical. Let's say I work in a travel retail. I work there, so I'm not traveling. Am I allowed to purchase bottles for myself? And again, we're going hypothetical with me. We're not referencing you or anybody else. So just hypothetical. What are the rules on me?
So are you flying out or are you working?
Let's say I'm working and I don't fly too much. Am I able to purchase, or do I have to have that ticket and be traveling?
Okay, so that's one issue I face on a regular basis, because there's so many new expressions coming out that you see them all the time. Now, if you work in the airports, they don't actually allow you to buy it. You have to wait until you're traveling, and unless they have it in an arrival shop, you can't buy it as a staff working for the airport, and you can't get a discount on it either. No discount on liquor or tobacco. Tobacco is an absolutely no buy. So, but I'm good. I mainly just drink whiskey. So, on that side, kind of a benefit. But when I fly out, as I'm a passenger at that point, I can buy whatever I want.
Sure.
So normally I do this little flight to inside Europe, and then I can buy up to 10 bottles. And they can keep them at Heathrow for you. Anyone can do that service if you fly internally inside Europe. So it's quite useful because, like, for example, most of the travel retail whiskeys that I review, they're pretty much done from when I have to quickly do like a quick flight. I'll be in a country for maybe a few hours, and I'll come back. just because I wanted to buy like 700 pounds worth of whiskey.
First of all, I like the way you live, sir. That is beautiful.
It's going to be changing soon, actually.
Oh, see, because here's what I'm picturing. You fly into Paris just so you can have lunch at a particular bistro and be able to buy 700 pounds worth of whiskey.
I did that when I went to Edinburgh the day before yesterday. I spent, I think it was close to 650 pounds. And then I literally just flew back after a few hours. And I got to meet, you know, some amazing people, got to go and have the whiskey experiences, check out the shops there, and gain a bit more knowledge on the whole thing, which it was quite beneficial, I feel. But justifying the money spent is always a question mark. It was actually way more than my flight.
Wow. And now, were you with someone? Are you even wanting to go in? Did you share company with anybody when you were in Edinburgh?
So yeah, I actually flew out with one of my colleagues from work. I actually needed. I was a little. I said I want to go by. I didn't really want to go by myself to Edinburgh. So I said to my colleague, I said, "Would you be up for it?" And he told me, "Yeah, but we've got a day off, so let's go." So I booked a flight for him, and I said, "You know, let's just go for a day. We'll be back within 6 hours. So don't worry, you're not going to miss very much on your day off, and we'll learn about whiskey, and you know, get to drink a lot." But not so much into the drinking side. He was just more to relaxing. So, but yeah, we got to meet Roy Aquavita, who came all the way from Glasgow just to meet us, and fantastic guy, and took us to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. And one of my friends works in the Scotch Whisky Experience, so he got us all in and took us for the new experience. Which, if anyone is in Edinburgh and you haven't been for the new experience, I totally recommend it. It's something, just, you know, they've changed it, they've innovated it, and they've sort of made like a 3D or 360 screen, which just brings it all to life.
Beautiful.
Learning about whiskey.
Beautiful. Yes. Roy is awesome. We know Roy, but we have yet to meet Roy. When we travel to Scotland, we will meet Roy.
Yes.
Boom.
I want to bring up a comment. It was a ways back. I've been waiting. Glen Coda, he comments, "Do you have less views in the longer videos? I think everybody here is enjoying the show as a whole. If you would speak for 20 minutes about toilet cleaners next to whiskey, people would still love it."
Really? Toilet cleaners?
Yeah.
Lysol.
That's a good compliment, I think.
Well, that's a great compliment.
We can carry a conversation of toilet bowl cleaners and whiskey.
So people would stay in, but would they be conversing amongst themselves?
I bet they would be.
Right. Yeah, they just want an avenue. Although that brings it up. Roy, great segue, actually. Roy had even mentioned that when we as the Scotch Test Dummies started doing the live hangout shows, was it our full intention to kind of make it a YouTube, sharing space? The whiskey fabric, was that our intention? Now, I would love to just say yes, but again, what are we listening to? Scotch Test Dummies. We definitely had a goal 2016 to go live, to do live shows, but I was actually really amazed, pleased, gratified even, and enjoyed when I started to see that there were the conversations in the text area just amongst all the different whiskey lovers was like a whole separate part of the show, of which when I'm sitting where I'm at, I can't even see it. I know you'll see it going on. And that was, again, one reason I wish some of that would be preserved by YouTube. But no, that has been a really cool offshoot of kind of the folks that are getting to know each other just in the comments as the show goes on. And I love grabbing a bottle of WOW and dragging it in.
Yeah.
That's been fun. Anytime I can work in some Elijah Craig wowness. No, but Roy had brought that up, wanting to know, if we'd had like somehow bigger plans on that. No, what we do try to do, especially with the different guests we have on, is just kind of, we definitely like the we. It's not the me with us. And we love having all different, whiskey lovers come together, whether it's social media or just someone who really, loves whiskey, or someone that's an ambassador or a blender or a distiller or anything. We love all of that. So that's kind of been the cool thing.
Yeah. Along the way, and of course through Twitter and stuff with the hashtag Whiskey Fabric, that started several years ago.
Before we were even
Whiskey Lassie,
right.
And I don't remember her, and some colleagues were sitting down and they coined the term. Was that our goal when we started these live streams, or did we think that was the end result? That wasn't mine. I didn't even consider I'm thinking, yeah, we want live streams. We want to hook up with other reviewers and we want to talk. But this whole other, the conversation that's going on with the people watching and really bringing together the other YouTube reviewers. Did I see that happen? No.
Right. No, I didn't see it either. Yeah. But, I mean, our deal was definitely get it live. Quite honestly, when we do a recorded show, the Wednesday and Saturday show, we don't have, well, I was going to say we don't edit much unless he's editing out me bloviating way too much. But we don't have to edit much. It's not like we're like, and read your line. Cut. All right, read it again. That wasn't explosive enough. You didn't say, test, you didn't extinguish, Yeah, we don't, I mean, I remember we were sitting there talking saying, we could shoot some live shows and just run with it was some of the idea. And then we thought, you know what, though, if we're going to do a live show, let's start getting some guests on, because one thing that's super nice about, I mean, Jason, you're coming in like you're sitting, across the street, not London. I mean, it's awesome. It's amazing. The shrinking really of the world via, the internet and the speeds that are coming along is just awesome. And we immediately were like, we've got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's one thing I find quite amazing is that, the way that the community is completely brought together, and we really get to communicate and give out, like, for example, if a group of people came together and gave tasting notes, for example, for new releases and everything, that would be absolutely insane, especially doing it in like a live stream. That's like such an innovative way of doing things.
Yes.
Instead of just, like for me, I'm by myself. And many people have asked me, why don't you get someone like your friend, or like in my family, none of my brothers drink. So all my friends are vodka drinkers, and the one friend who does drink, he lives like an hour and a half away. So it takes him a very long time. And by the time he gets here, if he drinks a few and then wants to drive back home, it would be very dangerous because he lives quite far away.
Right. And one thing we're going to do, again, with Roy's help and some of our pre-planning, is we're getting ready. We'll talk a little bit about it. Lot of help.
Are you going to the website?
Yes. And then I was going to talk about the calendar. Do you want to talk about this first?
Let's go ahead. We're getting ready to move in.
We're going to tease.
Let's put the 12 aside. We'll get ready for the 105, but let's go ahead. We'll just hit the website.
All right. So the website, we're getting ready to do a brand new, improved website. But I wanted to hit one small little segment of this website that's going to be great for everybody watching live, or even for the pre-recorded shows. We're going to have like a living calendar on there that we're going to be able to update. Because there's a couple things. When we do a pre-recorded show, we'll film generally about 4 shows in a sitting, but that's 2 weeks worth of shows. And we're going to be able to go ahead and put that in the calendar so that if you want to tune into the Wednesday show and you want to pre-purchase the bottle that we're tasting, you can do that. You can do the same thing for the Saturday show. And if we know it, sometimes we're quick on a show revolving based on, like Jason, you being able to come on. Sometimes we plan for 2 months to have a guest come on. And so if we know what we're going to be tasting, we'll get that into the calendar. And especially in the live shows, it's really cool. Like when Food Quig, is tasting along with us live, that really adds to that whiskey fabric. So that's one little tidbit that will be on this new website. Why don't you talk some more? Because I know
well, another thing we wanted to add and bring was blog posts.
Right.
We the website we're currently using doesn't have that capability.
Right.
So we'll be able to add blog posts.
Right.
What we're calling our cask strength videos or unedited videos.
Now you need this because when he censors me.
The one that you're talking about was our 12-year. We did the 12-year
yes.
blended shootout with Dewar's, Chivas Regal, and Johnny Walker Black.
Right.
And I cut 10 minutes out of that of rambling.
Yes, and there's one part that was especially telling.
But
there's a cut. I come back in. Sorry, I come back in and I'm like, I've just bared my soul. And you're like, yeah, let's move on. And people are like, what? What did he say?
Yeah.
So go ahead though. What is that?
But we had some fans that had called for they don't want the edited version. They don't mind the 30-minute videos. So on the new website we will post those cast, what we call cast strength,
unchill
filtered videos.
Chill film.
So if you go to YouTube and you click on the review, you might get the 15-minute review, and if you go to the website, you'll get the full
as
30
it should
minute.
be. Right. Now that's not up yet. We're hoping to bring it up in a week?
A week. Hopefully this week sometime we'll go live with the new website. And then we also will have Bart had called a while back for a fan to compile our whiskey scores.
Oh, yes, and the fan came through. Had been
Brian.
doing it. Brian Hunter
had
been doing it already. He was like, I'm already doing it.
He had it.
Right. So all of our scores will be up there, but we're not going to tell you where. They're kind of like tucked in under a blanket.
Yeah.
Near a fire.
Yep. Our the YouTube video playlists will be on there, and they automatically update when we add a video to YouTube.
Right.
It's more the new site. Well, it's WordPress, which a lot of whiskey bloggers, whiskey reviewers are using. So it's more friendly, more recognizable.
Looks better.
It's more mobile friendly. The
Right.
site we're using now doesn't come across on mobile devices real well.
Nobody's
so
using them newfangled mobile phones.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna. Those aren't ever gonna go big.
Yeah. And then it'll also be. Hopefully the new website will be quicker and more responsive as well. The current one we're using kind of lags and is slow, and
old.
They want more
Like
money.
us.
If you want to speed it up, you got to pay more money type deal. So
What were you gonna say, Jason? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I had a business account with a business website with the GoDaddy, and they're always trying to do like what Facebook tries to do, is tell you to boost your stuff.
Yes.
And they want you to pay more money. And WordPress, I even opened my blog on WordPress, and it's just so much more easy. They don't force you to do things. They give you that initial free one, and then like I changed mine recently to paid, as I just want those little bit of customizations. And as long as you choose everything correctly in the beginning, you're quite okay. And it gives you so much of freedom. Like I recently just drafted 5 blogs, so I can then schedule those for upcoming days, because I know I work shift work. So at the minute, it doesn't give me the flexibility to sit there and post a blog at this exact same time every day. And I can do that sort of with the flexibility and do my drafts. Only thing is a little bit of formatting, which is up and down, working in progress. But yeah, it's quite fun. And even with the icons and the pictures, if you make a nice, like one thing I've been trying to do at the minute is just work on Photoshop a lot. Trying to study Photoshop to improve my little icons.
Beautiful.
well, and George Kaplan comments that he likes the calendar idea so he can plan his
Right.
drinking.
Yes.
But it's I think it's Google-based calendar, and so you can click on. There's a little link at the bottom if you want to sync it with your calendar. So, George, you're running around and it's Sunday morning. You might get a little alert that in 2 hours, or it'll show on your calendar at 2 p.m. We got a live stream coming up.
And we're drinking the Glenfarclas, and you're like, boom! I've got some at home. Cool. Enough on that, but that'll be coming. And part of the rollout of the website is to be much more whiskey fabric friendly. So that way, because we do get a lot of people saying, hey, can you alert us to what you're going to be tasting ahead of time? And quite honestly, we didn't have a good way to do that. We were trying to do that via Twitter, but this should be very nice.
Well, and one other thing is we get a lot of samples sent to us.
Yes.
And what we may look at doing is Bart sits down maybe on a Thursday night with a sample at home, and he just records himself for 5 or 6. Well, I would be 5 or 6 minutes. You'd be 12 or 15.
Oh, no.
And you shoot a quick video.
Very succinct.
And that'll just go on the website.
Right.
So,
We can do a quick little video. I mean, they got cool little things like little audio strips and stuff that you could just come in and say, whatever, Scott's picking on me again or whatever. Just do whatever. No, it's cool. WordPress looks great. So, Jason, are you into the 105? Do you have it ready?
There it is. I just poured it in the glass I actually picked up in Edinburgh.
Beautiful.
So I'll use this little sort of style of glass.
Love that.
okay,
glass.
so now ours is bottled at 60%.
Which is the 105, which is what did they say though? The 105 I was reading was like
Cask strength version.
Right, a
60%
cask
as
strength.
well.
Yeah, didn't they say like an English?
What
cask
does the
strength or
what does the
Scottish cask
105 stand for?
I think that was initially the cask strength, and some people were saying it was like a 10-year. I actually bought this one here, which is a bottle your own. I bought this in a shop in London, and it's a 14-year-old Glenfarclas 105, which is just insane. But sadly, I chose this small option. I even stuck the receipt there just as proof that I did buy the 105, because on the receipt it says 105. But I can't remember the exact story behind it. Someone knows, then that'd be
Well, it
great.
says something about 105 is like the Scottish proof or English proof or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it must.
I don't know. I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I think that was something on there because I remember thinking the proof is different from American proof, and I wasn't sure. I'm sure you're seeing comments rolling in.
Well, I want to point out Swami last night. I was watching Food Quig's live stream, and Swami was on there, and I said we were doing the Glenfarclas today. He wanted me to make sure we did not state this was a NAS because it is 10 years old.
Okay.
And there was a little bit of a conversation going back and forth there because it's not anywhere on the packaging. And someone said that it used to have the 10-year age statement on it. It doesn't anymore. However, though, there are other versions of this out there. Like you got a 14-year, and a couple of people have also commented in the comments about a 20. There is a 20 or a 21-year 105 option out there also.
That would sound fun.
Yeah.
This was like basically one of the whiskey shops. They basically bought a cask from Glenfarclas, and it was the 105 cask. They matured it for 4 years more, and then they put it in a barrel. And sadly, I don't have the barrel picture, but they sort of did that there. So it tells you it's 60% ABV. And the guy at the day, he actually wrote all the stuff on there. So when I saw that, I genuinely didn't know whether to buy it. And the guy who was working there, he said to me, if you try the 105, he goes, this is like 105 on jet fuel. So he goes, the term he used was steroids, but I said to him, you can't really use steroids here. I said, someone will get arrested. So he said to me, try that one out. And he gave me a little taster in a little plastic glass. And as soon as I tasted it, I was like, I need a little bottle of that.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to go back the following week to buy the full bottle. And he goes, well, we finished the cask. And I was like, oh. So then they've got every sort of month, they'll have a new cask, which they do. And sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you get really good stuff, and then sometimes you get stuff which you're just like, thank God I just got to taste it.
Well, it talks about, in 68, says his father, George S. Grant, decided to bottle a cask of Glenfarclas at natural strength. And then it talks about the strength of that single cask was 105 British proof. So that was where I'd gotten that.
Triple Cap just said British proof. Food Quig had said that is the English proof measurement is 105. Aqua Vitae says that Glenfarclas 105 had age from 2009 through 2014. And he says there's also a 40-year-old version.
Wow.
Damn. That would be exciting.
I'll take a sample of that, Roy.
Yeah.
Send it on over.
He even gave us
Give yourself a sample. And send us the bottle.
Save a sample for you, just a little one. Send the rest of the bottle over.
It's like one thing I do. I pour a dram for someone. I said to them, here, I'll give you this and I'll keep the bottle.
There you go.
Now, this has an easy nose on it for 60%. I mean, it doesn't seem that high ABV.
Right. You mean the nose isn't jumping up and burning
Right.
your nose hairs out. Right. It's very smooth.
Really, the sherry notes to me are hidden. I mean, they're not that up front. They're more up front on the 12.
Right.
I almost get more almond and oak.
Yep. I get the oakiness.
Quite a rich oak. And you do for some reason on this one, because it's like a miniature, I think it gives you more of that ABV present on the initial nosing. It's quite. I haven't let it open up for too long.
By the way, also I have coined 267.
Ooh. I'm 268, baby.
I saw those the other day. I was like, I need to get a couple of those. We're gonna take those on a world trip.
Oh, traveling dummies. The virtual traveling dummies. We have a hashtag for that now. So if you take a photo,
Hashtag traveling dummies.
Hashtag traveling dummies. You can take us with you, baby. I know I keep joking around that I wanted to see one of these by the Eiffel Tower. And then who was it? We had someone send us like a photo of the Eiffel Tower in the coin next to a photo.
It was a miniature in Paris, Texas.
Yes, Paris, Texas.
We'll show those on one of our.
Yes, those will make it into a pre-recorded show.
Where's your next? Where would you like to see it next? The new coin or the coin?
Oh boy! First of all, we're just pleased everywhere. I'm actually more surprised when they pop up and show up. So I don't know. I mean, I joke about Paris, but I think Red Square would be phenomenal.
I want one on the set of the new Star Wars movie.
Ooh, Lordy.
Ooh.
Wow. Who do you know on that?
I don't know. Jeff Pickering's out there in that area. We'll have to have him pull some strings.
That'd be cool.
Ju Kim, he's out there. He's more north.
That is true. San Fran. I know you mentioned you were going to India. Is that correct?
I believe next month it'll be 16 years since I've been to India.
Really?
I was there when I was last 9 years old. So have to go there. Looking forward to it because it's going to be warm compared to the cold here.
Perfect timing.
And recently I was also in Edinburgh. So, and then I got to go to Germany as well in next week. So I've got a wedding to attend and pick up some good whiskey as well. Over there, they don't have the tax system that we have here. So stuff you can pick up on some really fancy deals. And that's what I've got planned. And then hopefully go to Singapore and Taiwan because I really want to visit the Cavalan Distillery.
Oh, that'll be nice. Wow.
In India,
get a virtual dummy into Cavalan.
Yeah, take it with the distillery over there.
Yes.
And, I think one of the major buildings over there is Taipei 101. It's a building that's got such an incredible architectural design.
Beautiful.
So that's something to look forward to in the future.
Yes, please.
Vanilla. Great. I'm getting some vanilla on the nose.
Yeah, I'm with you on the rich oak is probably, and then I do think I've got a little almond. But you're right, it's not a sherry jump up and grab you.
No. And where was it at? Somebody pointed out because it's younger than the 12 years, so it does have a weaker sherry nose. Now, I will point out what led me to buy this was I had a little simple sample bottle like Jason has at Christmas time from a buddy, and I thought it was really good and a lot of sherry. And when I bought this and cracked it, there wasn't as much sherry here as I had remembered.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't call it a sherry bomb, but boy, is it feels like a refined oaked sherry. And I knew when you brought this over, first of all, it's delicious, but I knew you were going to love this, which again was one reason I had to check myself and sample it often.
Now, there's definitely more sherry on the palate than there is on the nose.
Yes. But do you think it's a bomb?
That's a good call.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, well, this one
borderline, almost.
Okay. Jason, what say you, sir?
This one in particular is not the same as the big bottle I had. So on the nose, I'm getting sort of plum skins, but at the same time, the plums itself, I'm getting a little bit of raisins, a little bit of spice element, brown sugar, heavy oaky presence on this one. Really, and then on this one, especially the sting of the ABV is there. I just added 3 drops of water to see how it will change it. But the one I had before, when you put that on the palate, the way in which the mouthfeel is, it was like a very rich, really enjoyable texture of the whiskey, very viscous. This one is a little bit different and a bit more lighter. So I would definitely say this is not the same sherry bomb that I tried before in the past.
Oat cakes. I just got a little bit of, Roy sent us those oat cakes.
Yes, he did.
I just got a little bit of that on the palate.
I like the triangular ones. I can't remember the name. But no, your description, plum skins, wonderful, the rich, strong oak. And I'm not always a fan of the wood flavors, but the way it comes in here is both strong and smooth, which makes it just really savory. And I love, you're right, with the brown sugar kind of sweetness wrapped in there.
I'm getting a little bit of cocoa on this one, and you add a little bit of water. So it gives that little bitterness, quite a rich.
Hold on.
What? What do you got?
Rob, Whiskey in the Six, says that you look handsome with the new haircut.
Boom. Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, Rob is attractive.
He is a sexy.
Yes, and I'm saying that confidently as a man. The way he rocks that dark beard. If you haven't tuned in to Whiskey in the Six, you need to. It's just a pleasure. I'm telling you. Well, thank you. I've worked the hair. I got to be, for a while there, I was thinking, as it's thinning, but you can't, you just got to still trim up your hair. It doesn't matter. Letting it, I can't do a comb over. So we're just going to own it. And no hat today. I went with no hat.
Yep.
I need to wear the cowboy hat in at some point.
Glenn Coda pointed out the hat was missing.
Yeah.
And then Al Patterson says hats off to the Glenfarclas 12.
Boom. I love that.
I
Like
would
a
agree with
twist of phrase. Love it. Anything else, Jason? I love your notes. You have wonderful notes, sir.
Yeah, that's actually I'll show you guys exactly what I do. I showed this the other day. When I do my whiskey reviews, what I actually try to do is, for example, I'll make a note here, and you'll see, like, this is a lot. What I do is I'll sit with the whiskey, I'll do all the stuff like the core stuff, and then I'll do the tasting notes, and then I'll work my way down and then give the whiskey a rating. On my blog, I don't put any ratings because I just feel, that just should be the tasting notes. And YouTube, which I'm going to be focusing a lot more on in the upcoming, weeks now, I'm actually going to be changing my job soon. So that's going to be a life-changing experience a little bit. But you see, for example, when I do my whiskey notes, that's literally, you get a lot of stuff there. And that's one thing I do. So I like to sit with a whiskey for a good half an hour.
I think there was a girl's. I think there was a girl's phone number on there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You saw that as well.
Oh
Oops.
yeah. I think her name was Helga.
I would say love the handwriting. If we need anything
I
handwritten,
know.
we're gonna
What
have
was
Jason.
that?
We're
I
gonna
thought,
have-
is he typing into that? That
Yeah.
looks phenomenal.
I get that a lot at work as well because people see me like because we're not allowed to drink at work. But I sit there. Once I do my notes in rough, I do them like sort of like in a neater version, and then I'll type them up for the blog. And all the people that work with me, they're like, do you literally you're typing like a typewriter?
Yes.
So everything's like in capitals and give it perfect spacing and all that stuff.
Oh, it
But
looked perfect. Yeah, you could just like take a shot of it with your phone and post it.
post that on YouTube instead.
You could be like, oh, look at this. I mean, I'm seeing. That's funny you mentioned that because I was like, wow, you're spacing. I mean, I can almost see like Times New Roman font was even like you're choosing your own handwritten font.
University had a very severe effect on my life.
Well, that was nice.
Last year was harsh stuff, but
Wow, wonderful. Love your notes. The whole Helga phone number. Obviously, you've been to Berlin.
I'll be going there back soon again. Don't tell anyone.
All right, don't. Now, I'm going to missay it. I've got family in Berlin, distant family, but the Brandenburg Gate, is that in Berlin? And I haven't traveled over to Germany at all, so I know I should know this.
I actually think it's in the city itself.
That's what I
I
thought.
haven't seen the full map, but I think it's like northeast side of it, I think.
Okay.
I last saw it because mainly I would fly to Frankfurt or Cologne. So I very rarely go up to the north side towards Berlin. But that's on my list actually for this year because one thing I also want to do, which is outside of the whiskey world, is to actually travel to the 7 wonders of the world. So that's something I want to do in the next 2 years. And I'm going to go to South America as well, which is something I'm looking forward to.
Wow. We don't have any wonders here, do we? I think Vegas itself is fake, but almost should count as like a wonder.
Grand Canyon.
Oh, is that a
I was gonna say
wonder though?
Yeah.
Yellowstone, Grand Canyon.
Okay.
I don't know
Wow.
if it's Yellowstone's a wonder, but it's like one of the places in the world I want to really see. And I'm in the
Right.
States every 6 months. So I'll be back, I think, this time in DC, and then I'll be in California. And then in between, I'm going to try coming to Central America.
Wow. Now, are you able to talk about this new work position? You kind of teased it. Is that verboten?
That's actually nothing to do with the whiskey industry.
Ah.
I was just sort of taking a step away from travel retail, and that'll be next week.
Okay.
So been 3 years doing the airport job, and now I got a little bit of exciting things in terms of marketing. So I decided, take a step away, as I want a bit more of a challenge. And if anything like pops up in the whiskey industry, by all means, I'm open to it. But for now, just want to sort of give myself a little bit more of a challenge in life.
Beautiful. Love it.
Now I did put out. I want Bart to go back. Here's some. I still have some 12-year-old here. If you want to go back and forth a little bit and see, both are really very similar. I've added some water to the 105 to bring it down, and there's not that much difference between the two.
See, I get a lot more sugary sweetness from the regular 12, whereas the oak kind of takes a back seat. Whereas in this 105, and again, I'm usually not a fan of the oaky flavors, but I feel like the oak is much more forefront. But the way that it's in is so smooth. It's not like I don't get a bitterness. I know you'd mentioned, Jason, a little bitterness, and I don't pick that up, but I pick up a rich oak between the two.
Okay.
Yeah, my 12 has actually become very sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like caramelized brown sugar.
Yes, 100%.
And you get those sort of soft stewed fruits over there, but very interesting because actually the subject on a whiskey differences, like for example, my 105 versus your 105. I actually had that conversation with Rob from Whiskey in the Six when I did the Cavalan review, the Solist. He told me his one was completely different to the way in which my one tasted. And this one here is completely different to the batch I tasted before. The other one was phenomenal. It's what actually put me into heavily sherried whiskeys.
You think some of that could just be that it hasn't had a chance to open up?
I'd probably say that, but I think also when you have miniatures, sometimes they vary. Like I had a Glengarry, which completely was day and night difference from the full-size bottle. So I think sometimes miniatures have a different effect on whiskey. I don't know what other people think. They could let us know. But that's one thing I've got a feeling that some whiskeys, when you've got a miniature of it, doesn't give you the same. But one thing I love is when you have the drinks by the dram, like you showed, Scott, those ones, they have actually opened up quite a bit. So when I was tasting a few of the drinks by the dram ones I ordered, completely different from, say, for example, a miniature 5CL. So that's one thing I found very interesting. I think it's because probably when they open the big bottle, it does have time to oxidize slightly. And then when they put it into the drams, you've got something which is a bit more different from when straight in there, no air, and it comes to you.
I actually think the 12 years is showing. I think I'm preferring it over the 105.
Really? I think, if it's when it hits July here, sometimes we can get up into 110, 120. I would want the 12 year, and I would probably the sweetness, and I would throw a cube in there. Usually I don't drink my whiskey, my Scotch, with any kind of ice at all. I want the full flavor room temp. But when it gets hot around here, this would be a wonderful dram, the 12, when we're hitting our 110s and the humidity's up, and I'm not wanting an Ardbeg I still like the Ardbeg. I'd go into the AC and have the Ardbeg. All right, but if I'm out on the porch or by the lake, this would be delicious. The sweetness, and I could see it being extremely refreshing.
Yeah, adding a lot of water to this one, the 105, it's made it. As we've been talking for the last 15 minutes, so I've been adding a lot of water gradually, and I've just been trying to find that exact point in which it changed.
Nice.
And after quite a bit of whiskey, almost 75% water to 1 part whiskey, it has changed completely. Now it's broken down. That ABV is not so pungent on the nose. Now you're actually able to nose it much more easily. But then, I've got very little whiskey left. So I still can re-pour.
Nice. Well, that is also one thing I do like about that higher ABV, because that's one of the things, like you said, spending 30 minutes. I'll spend sometimes up to an hour, and I will love to just play with that ABV. I was just telling Scott the other night, I mentioned to my wife that the Jack Daniel's double barrel, we call it, the single barrel proof. Mm-hmm. I'd mentioned to her that a neighbor had come over, had not had it before. I poured him some. He tried it immediately. He said, banana. And I said, yes, a lot of people get a banana cream. She heard that and said, I have to try it. She's more wine, not whiskey. But okay. I walked her through with the, I can't remember the ABV off the top of my head, like 58%. But I walked her through sipping it very slightly neat. And then we slowly added little tiny pieces of ice, stepped it down probably 4 times. And she, for the first time, got to see not only the fun, but kind of the adventureness that you can take with a dram. And she got to see how it changed and morphed. And that's one thing I love about whiskey in general, especially higher ABVs. Sorry.
The cask strength whiskeys, is some of the stuff I tried from them, just mind blowing.
Yes, 100%. What do you got coming in, Scott? Looked like you had a comment roll in there.
We've had a lot of comments and questions coming in about Glendronach 12 compared to the Glenfarclas 12.
Yes,
do you have Glendronach 12 year, Jason?
Good call.
I might have it in my room, in my other room. So,
do you want to try?
Do you want to go look and see if you have it? Because I've got it, and we can compare them. We've had a lot of people asking.
So you got one in the back there.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to check,
you want to go grab yours.
Usually, I'm kind of a wallflower. but I
Yeah,
will.
because that would actually be a really good idea to do a comparison to it.
Let's do that.
Try
Let's
it.
do that.
See
Go
what
grab
you
your
I'll be back in a second.
All right, I will talk here over here. So I'm
John,
talking.
well, John
What?
John McGowan,
Love
and he's
that.
ordered coins. He's in Scotland.
Go McGowan, go.
He has been questioning and wondering how the Glenfarclas compares to the Glendronach.
That's a good call because
see.
we're getting ready to do a whole Glendronach thing.
We are
Right.
Glengoyne.
Oh, we've done Glendronach. What? I'm technically not wrong. We could do a Glen. I've got a
You
Glendronach.
commented to somebody the other day.
I
You
did.
replied, and you said,
I did.
Glendronach,
It's coming.
we love the 18. And I replied, I go,
yes.
he's Bart's confused the Glengoyne.
I get
with the
confused
Glendronach.
easily. He's 100% correct. Glengoyne is what's coming. A glen is like an open grassy field, right? Isn't that what glen means? I confuse my glens.
No, Glen is a river, a waterway.
Really?
Yeah.
Glen is a river.
Yeah.
I didn't know your Gaelic was that good.
Yeah.
A glen?
I know things. I drink
Wow.
whiskey.
Does anybody
I
out
know
there
things.
call shenanigans if he's lying?
They won't.
They won't.
That's
Okay.
right.
I thought a glen was like a very beautiful, grassy, open field. A glen.
Now, and I know we had plans. If we had time, we would move on to Cavalon and talk a little bit of Cavalon. But since this came up with the Glendronach, let's see what we're getting.
So the ones I've got is the peated, because I've got this little trio set. I did have the 12, 18, and 21. I've got a bit of the 18 left.
Well, you have the 12, right?
And the 8.
Well, we have the 12.
Do you have the 12, you said?
No, I'm actually out of the 12. I think I finished that one. I'm actually expected to be buying a bottle of that one soon. Because when I go back to Germany, I've got 2 bottles of the 15, which I picked up over there. And I picked them up for 40 euros.
Ooh, the 15 Revival. That's a good one right
Yeah,
there, too.
that's, full one I got there.
Do you want to taste some of that while we do the 12? Or do you want to stay on the Glenfarclas?
Let me re-pour some Farkless, because I think I finished mine.
There you go. Your call. Your call.
Whiskey in the 6 points out that Scott is correct.
Well, I'm not denying. Usually, when in argument, I will usually, although I'm stubborn, say you're probably correct.
Hold on.
Oh,
We're also getting that Glen is a valley.
that's what I thought. A grassy valley. A glen.
It can be, and then someone else, it can be a stream or a river, usually in a gorge.
Well,
A
that's
glen is a valley formed by a glacier. We got 2 different opinions.
Who
going
said
here.
a glen is formed by a glacier?
Glen is a stream. Glen means valley.
Ah,
Wow, we got something started.
look
there.
at this.
Valley.
It's in question. Right here, I'm not feeling as dumb as I was a little while
It's a
ago because I'm
valley.
on live TV. I'm like, okay,
Valley.
Valley.
I
Love
think
it.
Valley might be winning.
Valley.
I've always heard Glen was a waterway or a river.
Well, it probably was back in the prehistoric time.
Okay. Glendronach.
Right.
Do we need to mark the Scotch Trooper glass?
Scotch Troopers Glendronach.
Glendronach. Now look
This
at the
is the
color.
105,
Look
yeah.
at the color of the
Color
Glendronach.
much darker
12
with the Dronach.
to
much
here's
darker.
the Glenfarclas.
Right.
Well, that's
Can't
the
really tell.
105. You
That's
got
the 105. I got the 105.
Here's the Glenfarclas 12.
Wow, that's
Actually,
close.
it's pretty close.
Pretty close.
The Glendronach did appear a little darker at
Right.
first.
Right.
So now, okay, the Glendronach 12 exclusively matured in Oloroso sherry and Pedro Jimenez casks.
Look at that.
And it ended up #1 in our fan favorites, 12-year-old scotches.
It did.
The Glendronach 12, the original.
Right.
So let's see. I've got Glenfarclas on my palate. I'm going right to the Glendronach 12.
And it was #1 on yours, I believe, too, wasn't it?
#2. #1
That's
was
right. We
yeah.
synced up. We synced up on
Yep.
#2.
Yeah, we both had the Glendronach 12 as
Right.
our #2. Nose. I'll give a little bit of nose. Of course, the sherry, almonds, baked, dough.
Wow.
That's it.
That's all. Well, first of all, I got like peach.
Wow.
Well, I got peach cobbler. I got like a peach cobbler the instant it broke the plane of my mouth. And then it changed transition, which I'm going to have to tap back in. And then it's finishing in a sugary, woody sweetness. But I'm going to have to go back
Wow.
in for the middle.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. What does that mean? See what happened?
That is so much smoother and
Wowie.
richer.
It's a woozer.
Well, That came from the Lefroy shootout. Remember when I go, wow, and you go, wow,
Wow.
oh, we're getting some good notes here. Wow,
What a great note. Wow, you just said something.
I'm like, all right, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've actually got my notes here on my Glendronach.
Oh, let me read them again. Put them up. They look great.
So I don't know if you can see that one there. That's the Glendronach, because they actually keep everything over there with the out caramel color. And then here you've got I haven't actually put the color over there yet, but you can see there. I think I put rum-soaked raisins. You get a little bit of caramel. It's quite a very soft nose. It's not too overwhelming, and it's so easy to nose as well for 46%. Or 43%, I think the 12 is. So, is yours 43 or 46?
We're looking
43.
43, yeah.
First of all, we were stunned again by the handwriting.
Here's the
It's
12.
gorgeous.
If you want to go back to the Glenfarclas 12.
It is. All right. I do. I'm going to have to tap back in. So let me try the 12. Okay. So that's the Farclas 12.
Still good. Still wonderful.
Sweet.
Much
Sugary.
more, I would say, much more sherry
Yes.
with the Glendronach. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. This is a sugary sweetness, almost like a pure sugar cane on the Glenfarclas 12. Delicious. Popping back in to the Glendronach.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely darker.
Wow.
Sherrier, plummier.
Plum. It's wow. It's like I've bitten into a succulent, juicy plum. It's succulent and juicy, almost the same thing. No. That is delicious.
Lana, hold on. Lana Lou points out that Glen means happy place.
Way to go, Lana. You've created peace with the dummies. We can all agree on happy place.
Glen means happy
That
place. Love
is
it.
correct.
We
Way
need a
to
shirt.
go, Lana.
Can we put that on a shirt?
Yes, Glen, and then equal sign happy
Happy.
place. Bam, that's a shirt, Lana. We're going to put the design by Lana's brain on that shirt. I love it. Glen equals happy place. Love it. Although there's going to be some guy named Glen out there being, that's right. That's right.
Glen, and then it's another, Glen equals me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There'll be a guy named Glen being like, bring the name back, baby.
Both good. So between the Glenfarclas and the Glendronach, both good, both sherry. I think the 12 is showing a little bit richer.
Now try the 105 with it. You can really see how the wooded oakiness pops. That is an extravaganza of taste right there. You move from the sweet sugar cane into the plum succulent into the beautifully refined oakiness. Oh, you've taken me on a virtual trip, brother.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Jason, thank you. Wow.
You're right with the oak on the 105. Even
Yes.
just smelling it as I put it in my mouth. Don't say it.
I'm not saying a word there.
I mean, before you even tasted it, you could smell the oak on the 105 compared to the others.
Yeah, at
So-
work we get all those sort of things. Like when you give someone a tasting, and they're like, "Oh, it's in there in my mouth" and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, that's what that we use.
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
You get that every day, like especially because sometimes you do a 12-hour shift. You'll hear all these different phrases come from people. It's like I'm gonna say no comment, and you see us guys laughing out. It's like
That's right.
DHSILV2 says, Glen, an all-around awesome man. He's a gentleman to everyone he meets. He would do anything to help a friend. He can be quite hard-headed and stubborn, but it's always lovable.
Goodness. That doesn't fit on a shirt.
Almost sounds like you.
That does. That sounds
last
like
part.
me. Yeah. That's me. Hard-headed and stubborn. That's
Now
my Germanness.
now everyone's saying, hi, my name is Glen.
That's right. That was my stubborn Germanness coming through. I will tell you, I went and did this 23andMe DNA test. Awesome. Anybody out there? Very cool. And my wife's Puerto Rican, so her genealogy was like all over the place, all over the world.
Whiskey in the 6 points
Stuck
out
that in.
Glendronachs and Glengoynes. that when he retires, he'll be buying several cases of each. And I agree. I've been impressed with all the Glengoynes and the Glendronachs that I've had.
I'm a Glen fan.
And the Glen, of course, we only had the 12 and the 105 of the Glenfarclas. Glendronach, Glengoyne, Glenfarclas. It's a Glenfarclas.
That's the Glenfarclas. Yeah. What if we had a Glen Dummy?
Huh.
Yeah, sounds cool. Glen Dummy.
You can invent one of those.
Yeah, that's right. You've got a Glen Dummy.
Yeah, definitely with Glendronach, I've personally never had a bad one. And I've tried quite a few of their single casks as well. They're just fantastic whiskies. And even with Glengoyne, I think Roy just recently gave me the teapot dram out of 25. So it was fun taking that through security. If Roy's watching, you'll hear about it now. But security are like, what is this? And then they're like, well, they wanted to swab it. I'm like, it's just whiskey. I said, I'm coming from Scotland. I'm going back to London. I said, I need whiskey to go with me. And so the guy was like, goes, so I can't swab it. I was like, if you swab it, you're keeping it. He goes, no, I'll leave it for you. I'm never coming back to Scotland otherwise again. So
I'm going to say one other thing. These, or any one of these, or these together would be great. We run across people that are bourbon fans that have not, they've only had, and I'm not saying anything bad, but like Johnny Walker Red, and they think Scotch is somehow harsh or in your face or always peated. These right here would let them know that there is a world open to them as long as they just let that door creak open, because these are delicious. I can see a brand new whiskey drinker falling in love with these.
Well, and Jason, let me ask you real quick, because someone asked a little bit ago what your favorite bourbon is.
Okay, so this is going to sound kind of spoilt, but the first ever bourbon I tried was the Pappy 23.
Oh, there you go.
But it wasn't one of my favorites. It's actually probably Michter's. And I did a flight recently in one of the whiskey shops in London, Milrose. And when I tasted the Michter's range, I was like, this is fantastic stuff. You got I think the 10 was one of my favorites. And I think the American, there was another one, American something to the name, which just, when I tasted that, I was like, I would buy this. Even Elijah Craig, we have the 12 and 18 here in London. Quite, we have so many bottles of it. So I was tempted to pick up. People were telling me that in the States it's not available. I was like, should I just bring it over to the States? Like £33, which you can't go wrong with. I was like, bring a few of those over to the States when I come. But
yes,
people don't have those. By all means, share them.
I'm with you. I've really warmed up to the Michter's. I learned that even when we did the Michter's Rye, the barrel proof and a blind. I'm as we're doing this show, I'm becoming a huge fan of the blind tasting, because as much as I intentionally try not to factor in price or name recognition or marketing on the bottle, I know it has some effect, because when we've done blind tasting, I'm oftentimes picking things that I rated lower when I knew exactly what it was. And I know we're going to continue doing a lot of those blind shootouts, and just because they've been so educational, even for me personally. Michter's is phenomenal.
Yeah, I actually watched some guys do I think they did a Macallan tasting. They did a Oscuro, they did the 25, the 18, the 15 fine oak, and the 12 sherry oak. And when at the end of the whole thing, some people didn't find the Oscuro anywhere near as the same sort of taste profile as something like the 18. So they were saying, at the end of it, sometimes when you factor in the prices and you're looking at like £700 here, or I think it's £700 or £800 for the Oscuro, and that's in the airport. Looking at that sort of price range, it's rather steep for a 70 CL, whereas you get other ones which so much more affordable but fantastic flavor profiles. And it's that question that actually that's one thing a lot of bloggers I've seen do post is it price versus quality of whiskey? Because sometimes you'll find huge price whiskeys and the quality sort of it's more as an expectation versus a price.
Yep, I agree. And I think the mental trick of, if I drop 300 on something, I want it, I expect it to taste wow, explosion-ish. and not always, there on that. I know it was Whiskey Lassie. It was Joanne that told us she does a lot of blind sampling, and that it really opened her eyes as far as what she was tasting. And I concur 100%. If you want to liven up your whiskey collection, have a buddy pour several into sample bottles and mix them with or label them with something other than A, B, C, and D, unless you're the dummies, and then enjoy. Because I mean, it's a great way to play with your whiskey. Ooh, there's
I gave it to a couple of my friends. They'd probably mix it all up and then they'd tell me the wrong to get the end of it. They'd probably give me something like a Talisker and tell me it was from Speyside. Just as a troll. Worst case scenario, give me an Optimal.
Talisker. Yes. Wow.
Optimal first, and then let my taste buds be blinded for the rest of the taste.
Now I do. We don't have Glendronach in our area, and we don't have Glengoyne in our area. All those bottles have been sourced from elsewhere. Most of them from Texas. Now, the Glendronach 12, I wish, and when I bought it, I think it was $50, $55. Same as the Glengoyne 12, both well done. The Glengoyne 18, and we'll be having our own kind of series review coming up there. The Glengoyne 18 has got to be one of the best by 18-year-olds at $99. So
yeah. Prepare yourselves. Grab some Glengoyne because we're going to be reviewing several expressions soon.
All right. Well, let's see. We're well over an hour.
Right. Any other comments you want to throw out? And then we'll toss it back to Jason.
I've been hitting them up. I think we're good. Let's get Jason.
All right, Jason. Where can everybody find you and plug yourself, brother?
All right, so on YouTube, it's Jason Whiskey Wise without the E. So yeah, on YouTube, it's Jason Whiskey Wise. Twitter, it's just my name, Jason Vaswani. So I'll spell that out because very few people can probably spell my surname. Jason and then Baswani. Or just search Jason Whiskey Wise, should pop up as the first one there. And then Instagram, Facebook, and the blog is all Jason Whiskey Wise. I literally in the last month, I've been working on trying to get everything to match. But with Twitter, I want it to be my personal name because it's still got Jason Whiskey Wise there. So pretty much Jason Whiskey Wise everywhere.
Now you're relatively new. I think you're around 30 reviews that you have posted.
Yeah, I think at the minute it is 37. I'm actually going off this video to film the Cavalan Fino, which will be the sort of end of my Cavalan reviews, and then I'll be working on some Japanese, the Paul John range, which I'm actually going to get you guys sent some of these because I know you guys like a bit of peated and unpeated, so I'll send you the select casks, and so you can try those. And I'm going to work some world whiskies at the minute, and then I'm going to go back and do the Glenfarclas because I feel kind of inspired by these, and I want to do my tasting notes. So I'll do the Glenfarclas, as a lot of people want me to do those, and then I think return to the Glendronach because I've got too many of these, and then I've even got the Masala cask. I don't know if you guys heard of the 14 Masala cask. Actually, got a bottle of that.
We had a Boona Haben 13-year Marsala cask, but I think that's the only Marsala cask we've seen.
Right.
So,
Glendronach.
You said you're starting a new job in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, you're going to keep the reviews coming.
Yeah, that's actually Roy from Aquavita. He said to me, he goes, "You said at the beginning of the year you're going to do 250 reviews this year." So I actually gave myself. I'm actually going to go for that. If some days I have to record 5 or 6, in terms of upload 2 or 3 reviews, I will do that because that's something I want to do. And I've actually created an Excel. You guys see how I do this sort of thing? I've actually created an Excel spreadsheet of over 700 whiskeys that I've tasted or have at some point had the opportunity to try. And I've compiled that. So I'll actually even send it to you, Scott and Bart, so you can see that. But that's one thing. I want to work my way through all of those. It's just because at the end of the day, I want to give people that knowledge, or sort of just more or less my tasting notes, not necessarily, and it's also my opinion. Not really, at the end of the day, you're going to go out, you're going to buy, I want you to sort of enjoy the whiskey you're buying, not just, guys, put this one out there. I want you to enjoy the whiskey. And that's
Perfect.
one thing that I find quite enjoyable.
Well, hey, and good luck to you, Jason. We're about to sign off, but I just want to say, one thing that I noticed right away, even though you're relatively few on the YouTube reviews, you've got a great enthusiasm towards whiskey, and it shows on your reviews. You come across, you got a great in front of the camera personality.
Mm-hmm.
So keep it up, and we hope to see a lot more reviews from you in the future.
That's right. We'll be traveling in your pocket, and I mean that in the best way possible.
And I'll have one of the coins in mind when I go around the world as well.
That's what I meant, brother. That's what I meant.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off. And
Stay on. Don't drop after we turn off the live.
Thanks to everybody that joined in. Great comments once again. Everybody making this possible. We love doing it. We wish we could do it more often.
Well, we're doing it we're going to try every Sunday when we can.
Yes.
Right.
And in the meantime, we're going to
Scotch it, you Scotch gods.
Cilantro.
Dummies.
Dummies.